The first time Clara Bennett saw him, the lights exploded. It wasn't a metaphor. Every bulb in the abandoned subway tunnel burst at once, glass raining down like dying stars. And from the darkness that followed, something moved. Clara's breath trembled. She had always known she wasn't normal. Since childhood, light followed her. Street lamps flickered brighter when she passed. Candles leaned toward her like flowers chasing the sun. Good magic lived inside her veins, ancient, golden, and pure. Her grandmother used to whisper, "You are a light wielder, Clara. Darkness will fear you." But that night, the darkness wasn't afraid. It was watching. A tall silhouette stepped forward from the pitch-black tunnel. The air around him felt heavy, cold, wrong. Shadows clung to his body like living smoke. His eyes glowed faint silver beneath messy black hair. When he spoke, his voice was soft, but echoed unnaturally. "Don't move." Clara didn't listen. Golden light burst from her palms instinctively, illuminating the tunnel in radiant warmth. The shadows recoiled violently, hissing against the stone walls. And the boy, he screamed, not in anger, in pain. Clara's magic struck him like fire. Dark cracks of energy spread across his skin as he stumbled backward, clutching his chest. "I said, don't," he breathed harshly. Clara froze. She had never seen darkness react like that. Normally, evil creatures attacked her. Demons lunged. Cursed spirits shrieked. But this one, he looked like he was burning alive. Her light dimmed immediately. The tunnel returned to darkness. The boy collapsed to one knee, shadows rushing over him like protective armor. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then he looked up at her, and Clara's heart skipped. He wasn't a monster. He was just a boy, a beautiful, broken boy with eyes that looked centuries old. "Who are you?" she whispered. He hesitated. "Mason Blackwood." The name felt ancient. Clara swallowed. "You're a shadow mage." "Yes." The word came without pride, without threat, just truth. Shadow mages were rare, dangerous, born from cursed bloodlines that could manipulate darkness itself. Most of them were hunted by humans and light wielders alike. Clara stepped closer, instinctively. Mason flinched. "Stay back." "Why?" she demanded. "Because if you bring the light back, it will kill me." Her stomach twisted. That wasn't how it was supposed to work. Good magic destroyed evil. Yes, but it didn't destroy people. It purified. It balanced. Unless his curse was deeper. "Why are you here?" she asked carefully. Mason looked away. "I didn't know you would be." "That's not an answer." A faint, almost amused smile touched his lips. "You glow from miles away, Clara Bennett." Her blood ran cold. "You know my name." "Everyone in the shadow world knows your name." The words echoed in the tunnel. Clara's pulse pounded in her ears. Her grandmother had warned her about this. The light inside her wasn't ordinary. It was ancient celestial magic, the kind meant to cleanse entire bloodlines of darkness. If Mason was near her, it wasn't an accident. "What do you want from me?" she asked. He looked at her then, fully, and something shifted. Not hunger, not hatred. Something softer. Something dangerous. "Nothing," he said quietly. "That's the problem." Before she could react, distant footsteps echoed from the far end of the tunnel. Clara stiffened. She felt them before she saw them. Other shadow mages. 3 of them. Their energy slithered through the darkness like poison. "They found me," Mason muttered. "You," Clara whispered. No, his silver eyes locked onto hers. "You." The shadows at the tunnel entrance thickened. 3 figures emerged, their faces hidden beneath dark hoods, their hands crackling with black magic. Well, one of them sneered, the light wielder in the flesh. Clara raised her glowing hands, golden magic flaring instinctively. Mason grabbed her wrist, and everything stopped. For a split second, time froze. Clara gasped. His touch, it didn't burn him. It didn't hurt her, because the tunnel was completely dark. No light touched them. Skin against skin, shadow against light. Instead of pain, a strange warmth spread between them. Not destructive, balanced. The 3 shadow mages froze in shock. Mason stared at their joined hands like he couldn't believe it. I told you, he whispered hoarsely. Don't bring the light. The moment Clara's magic flickered brighter in surprise, Mason cried out, ripping his hand away as dark energy seared his arm. The shadow mages lunged. Clara reacted on instinct. Golden light exploded outward, blasting the attackers against the tunnel walls. Their screams echoed as they dissolved into black smoke. Silence fell again. Clara's chest heaved. Mason stood a few feet away, clutching his arm where her light had touched him. Smoke curled from his skin, but he wasn't looking at his wound. He was looking at her, with something that terrified her more than hatred ever could. Hope. You felt it too, he said. Clara's voice trembled. Felt what? That in the dark, we don't destroy each other. The realization hit her like lightning. If light touched him, he burned. If darkness swallowed her, she weakened. But in pure darkness, they could touch. They could survive. Together. Somewhere deep inside the tunnel, something ancient stirred, as if their connection had awakened an old prophecy neither of them knew. Mason stepped backward into shadows. You should stay away from me, Clara. Why? His silver eyes softened. Because the shadow world won't stop hunting you. And you? She asked. He paused. I can only touch you in the dark, he said quietly. And that makes you my greatest weakness. Then he disappeared into the tunnel, leaving Clara standing alone, her heart glowing brighter than ever before. And for the first time in her life, she was afraid of her own light. Clara didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt again the moment his fingers wrapped around her wrist in complete darkness. No pain, no burning, just warmth, balance. By morning, her golden magic was restless beneath her skin, flickering like a nervous heartbeat. It was reacting to something, or someone, and then she felt it. The shadows in her room shifted. Mason, she whispered. He stood near her window, half hidden in early dawn light, smoke curling faintly from his shoulder where sunlight touched him. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know. Sunlight hurts you. It does. Yet he didn't move away. Instead, he stepped further inside, where the room was dimmer. The shadows welcomed him instantly, wrapping around his body like armor. You're being watched, he said quietly. Clara crossed her arms. By the shadow mages from last night? He shook his head. By something older? Her stomach tightened. There are factions in the shadow world, Mason continued. Most of them want you dead, but there's one that wants something else. What? You. The word landed heavily. Clara's magic flared instinctively, golden light illuminating the room. Mason flinched sharply, smoke rising from his skin. She dimmed it immediately. Sorry, it's fine. His voice was strained. You don't know how to control it when you're emotional. That stung. I've trained my whole life. Against monsters, he corrected softly. Not against me. Silence stretched between them. Clara stepped closer, cautiously. Tell me the truth, she said. Why did my light destroy you completely? Mason's silver eyes darkened. Because my curse is in pure darkness. She frowned. My bloodline was bound to shadows centuries ago, he explained. But before that, we were guardians. Guardians of what? Balance. The word echoed strangely in the room. Clara felt something shift inside her chest. Her grandmother used to speak of balance, that true good magic wasn't meant to erase darkness completely, but to keep it from consuming everything. If that's true, she whispered, then why are shadow mages hunting me? Because most of them forgot what balance means. Before she could respond, the temperature in the room dropped sharply. The shadows near the ceiling thickened unnaturally. Mason stiffened. They found us. The window shattered inward. Black smoke flooded the room as two hooded shadow mages stepped through the broken frame. Their eyes glowed crimson, far more corrupted than the ones from the tunnel. You're coming with us, light wielder, one of them hissed. Clara's golden aura ignited instantly. Mason moved in front of her. No, he said coldly. The shadow mages laughed. You defend her now, Blackwood? After what your bloodline swore. Clara's eyes snapped toward him. What oath? Mason didn't answer. The attackers struck first. Dark tendrils shot toward Clara, aiming to bind her arms. She blasted them with pure golden light. But the force knocked Mason sideways as well. He hit the wall hard, pain flashing across his face as smoke curled from his shoulder. The shadow mages smirked. "You see," one taunted, "your light destroys him." Clara hesitated, and that hesitation cost her. A wave of shadow slammed into her chest, pinning her against the wall. The darkness felt suffocating, draining her strength. Her vision blurred. Mason growled. The entire room darkened violently as his power surged. The lights flickered out. Complete darkness swallowed everything. And suddenly, Clara could breathe again. The shadow binding her weakened. Mason appeared beside her in the pitch black, his hand finding hers instinctively, skin to skin. No pain. Power rippled between them. Not gold, not black, but something in between. A deep silver glow barely visible in the darkness. The attacking mages recoiled in shock. "What is that?" one whispered. Mason's voice was steady now. "Balance." He pulled Clara closer. "Trust me?" She did. Clara let her light dim completely, something she had never done before. Instead of shining outward, she focused it inward, letting it merge with the darkness around them. The silver energy expanded. The room trembled. The shadow mages screamed as their corrupted magic unraveled, dissolving into harmless smoke. When the energy faded, silence returned. The room was still dark. Mason was still holding her, and neither of them were hurt. Clara's heart pounded. "We did that together," she breathed. "Yes." His thumb brushed lightly against her knuckles. A simple touch, but it felt forbidden, dangerous, beautiful. Then a slow clap echoed from the doorway. Both of them turned. A tall figure stood there, face partially hidden, but eyes glowing a deep, ancient red. Unlike the others, his presence didn't feel chaotic. It felt controlled, calculated. "Well," the stranger said smoothly, "so the prophecy is true." Clara's pulse spiked. "What prophecy?" The man stepped forward into faint hallway light. "You and the Blackwood heir were never meant to destroy each other," he said calmly. "You were meant to awaken something far greater." Mason's grip tightened protectively around Clara. "Stay back, Dorian." The man smiled. "I am not your enemy, Mason." His red eyes shifted to Clara. "I am here to offer you a choice." Clara swallowed. "What kind of choice?" Dorian's smile deepened. "Join us willingly and learn how to control this balance." A pause. "Or refuse and watch the shadow world tear him apart trying to reach you." The threat hung heavy in the air. Clara looked at Mason. He shook his head slightly, but she saw the fear in his eyes. For her, and for himself. Because if the shadow world discovered what they could do together, they wouldn't stop hunting. They would start using. And Clara realized something terrifying. Her light had never been her greatest danger. Her connection to Mason was. Dorian extended his hand. "Well, light wielder?" The room felt smaller, darker, more dangerous than ever before. And Clara had to decide. Step into the shadows willingly, or risk losing the only person she could touch without destroying. "Don't," Mason whispered. But Clara stepped forward anyway. Dorian's red eyes gleamed in the dim hallway light. His presence wasn't chaotic like the others. It was ancient, controlled. "I won't hurt you," he said smoothly. "If I wanted you dead, light wielder, you would already be." Clara's jaw tightened. "Stop calling me that. My name is Clara." A faint smile curved his lips. "Very well, Clara." Mason moved slightly in front of her again. Protective, tense. "You don't get to speak about the prophecy," Mason said coldly. "Not after what you did to my family." Clara's heart skipped. "Your family?" she whispered. Dorian exhaled slowly. "Ah, so he hasn't told you." Mason's shadows darkened violently around him. Silence. But Dorian continued. "Centuries ago, before shadow mages became corrupted, the Blackwood bloodline served as keepers of the veil." Clara felt the words vibrate in her chest. "The veil between light and darkness," Dorian continued. "Your bloodline guarded balance. And hers," his gaze shifted Clara, "created it." The air felt thinner. "What does that mean?" Clara asked. It means, Dorian said calmly, your powers were never meant to destroy shadow. They were meant to merge with it, under one condition. Clara looked at Mason. He wouldn't meet her eyes. What condition? She whispered. Dorian's voice lowered. The light wielder must bind herself to a blackwood heir. The room went silent. Clara's pulse pounded in her ears. Bind, she repeated. A soul bond, Dorian said. One that restores the veil permanently. Mason's voice cracked through the air like thunder, and kills me in the process. Clara turned sharply. What? Mason finally looked at her. Pain lived in his silver eyes. The oath placed on my bloodline requires sacrifice, he said quietly. If a Blackwood bonds with a light wielder, he becomes the anchor. Anchor to what? To the balance. Dorian nodded approvingly. The anchor absorbs the overflow of both magics. Light and shadow stabilize forever. Clara felt cold. And the anchor survives? She asked. Silence answered her. Her heart dropped. How long? She demanded. Mason didn't speak. Dorian did. No Blackwood has survived more than a year after the bond is sealed. The words shattered something inside her. No, she breathed. There has to be another way. There is not, Dorian replied. The prophecy is older than all of us. Clara's golden magic flickered violently around her, reacting to her rising emotions. This is insane, she said. Why would I ever agree to something like that? Dorian's red eyes hardened slightly. Because if you don't, the veil will continue weakening. A low rumble shook the building, as if summoned by his words. The shadows in the corners twisted unnaturally. The air cracked with unstable magic. You felt it tonight, Dorian continued. When your powers merged, the veil trembled. Clara remembered the silver energy, the way it felt right, natural, like something ancient waking up. You and Mason are not an accident, Dorian said. You are a correction. Mason stepped closer to Clara, lowering his voice so only she could hear. I won't let you do it. Her throat tightened. Let me, she whispered. You deserve a life, he said, not a countdown. And you, she asked. A bitter smile touched his lips. I was born with one. The ground shook harder. Suddenly, the wall behind him exploded inward. A monstrous wave of corrupted shadow crashed into the room, far stronger than anything before. Dozens of red eyes blinked within it. Dorian cursed under his breath. They've decided to take you by force. The corrupted faction, not balanced shadow mages, but the ones who had fully embraced chaos. Clara's golden aura ignited instinctively, but this time it flickered unstable. The veil was weakening. Mason grabbed her hand. Darkness swallowed the room again. Clara, he said urgently, if we don't stabilize this. I know. The corrupted shadows lunged. Clara did something she had never dared before. Instead of pushing her light outward, she let it collapse inward completely. Total darkness. For a split second, she felt blind, vulnerable. But Mason's hand tightened around hers. And then, silver light erupted between them, stronger than before. Not just a flicker, a surge. The silver energy formed a protective dome around them as the corrupted shadows slammed against it violently. Cracks spread across the floor. Windows shattered. The building groaned. Dorian shielded himself, watching with fascination. It's accelerating, he murmured. Clara felt it too. The connection was growing stronger, but so was the strain on Mason. His breathing grew uneven. His grip trembled. Mason, she whispered. He smiled faintly. You're brighter than you think. The corrupted shadow mass condensed into a massive humanoid form, towering above them. Its voice was a chorus of screams. The light must be extinguished. It struck the silver dome. The impact sent Mason crashing to one knee. Cracks splintered across the protective energy. Clara felt panic rising. If she released more light, she would burn him. If she dimmed it, the creature would break through. Balance. She focused. Not light, not shadow, but the space between. The silver glow deepened into something almost white. Not pure light, not darkness. Harmony. The dome exploded outward in a silent wave. The corrupted entity disintegrated instantly, scattering into harmless ash. Silence fell. The shaking stopped. The veil stabilized, temporarily. Clara collapsed forward, straight into Mason's arms. This time, there was no pain, because the room remained dark. He held her carefully, like something fragile, like something sacred. Dorian stepped closer slowly. "It has begun," he said quietly. Clara lifted her head weakly. "What has?" Dorian's expression was unreadable. "The bond is forming whether you choose it or not." Clara's heart skipped. "What?" He nodded toward their hands. They were still intertwined, and faint silver marks were glowing along their wrists like matching sigils. Mason saw them too. Fear flashed across his face for the first time. "No," he breathed. Dorian's voice was calm. "The prophecy doesn't require permission." Clara stared at the glowing mark. If the bond completed, he would die. If it didn't, the veil would collapse. And she realized something terrifying. The choice might never have been hers. Not painfully, but urgently, like a countdown no one could stop. Clara stared at the glowing sigil binding her to Mason Blackwood, a symbol neither of them had chosen. Yet both of them felt deep in their bones. "The bond is completing," Dorian said quietly. "Once it seals, the Blackwood air becomes the anchor." Mason's jaw tightened. "Get out." Dorian didn't argue this time. He stepped back toward the hallway's shadows. "You have until sunrise," he said. "After that, the veil will decide for you." Then he vanished. Silence swallowed the ruined room. Clara looked at Mason. "You knew this could happen." "I suspected," he admitted. "And you still stayed near me?" His silver eyes softened. "I tried to stay away." A small, broken laugh escaped her. "Yeah, that worked great." The ground trembled faintly again, a reminder that the veil was still unstable. Outside, distant screams echoed through the city streets. Corrupted shadows were rising everywhere. Clara felt it through her magic. If the veil shattered completely, light and darkness would collide uncontrollably. Humans would be caught in the middle. "This isn't just about us," she whispered. "It never was," Mason replied. The silver marks flared brighter. Clara stepped closer to him, until barely inches separated them. "In the tunnel," she said softly. "When we first touched in the dark, it didn't feel like destruction." "It wasn't," he said. "It felt like something that was supposed to happen." Mason's breath hitched slightly. "Clara—" "No," she interrupted gently. "Listen to me." Her golden aura flickered faintly, but she kept it controlled. "You said your bloodline were guardians of balance." "Yes." "And mine created it." He nodded. "So maybe the prophecy isn't about sacrifice." Mason's brows furrowed. "It clearly says the anchor dies." "Maybe it says the anchor absorbs the imbalance," she corrected. A pause. "That doesn't have to mean death." Hope flickered in his eyes, cautious, fragile. "You don't rewrite ancient magic," he said. "Watch me." The building shook violently as a massive tear split open in the sky outside, a swirling vortex of pure shadow and blinding light colliding. The veil was breaking. Now, Clara grabbed his hand. Darkness filled the room as Mason extinguished every remaining light source. Complete black. Their safe place. The only place they could touch without pain. The silver marks on their wrists began to connect. Glowing threads of energy weaving between them. Clara closed her eyes. Instead of pushing her light outward, she let it sink deep into her chest. Then slowly, she reached into Mason's darkness, not to overpower it, not to erase it, but to understand it. She felt his curse. Cold, heavy, ancient, but beneath it, loneliness. Generations of Blackwoods born, knowing they would die if balance ever returned. Her heart ached. "You were never meant to be a sacrifice," she whispered. The vortex outside roared louder. Mason's breathing grew strained. "Clara, if this goes wrong." "It won't." "How do you know?" She opened her eyes in the darkness, because for the first time, she wasn't afraid of it. "Because light doesn't exist to eliminate shadow," she said softly. "It exists so shadow has shape." The silver energy surged violently around them as the bond tried to lock into its ancient pattern. Anchor. Sacrifice. Death. Clara resisted. Not with force. but with intention. She pulled Mason closer until their foreheads touched. If balance requires two sides, she whispered, then why would only one pay the price? The silver thread split. Instead of flowing only into Mason, they wrapped around both of them. Equal, shared. The building exploded outward as a wave of silver energy shot into the sky, slamming into the tearing veil. The vortex froze. Then it began to mend. Light and shadow wove together like threads of the same fabric. The corrupted magic dissolved. The city fell silent. Inside the darkness of the broken room, Clara and Mason collapsed to their knees. The silver marks on their wrists faded into faint, permanent lines. Not chains, not anchors, but symbols of partnership. Mason's hands trembled slightly as he looked at himself. I'm alive. Clara let out a shaky laugh of relief. Obviously. He searched her face. You changed it. We changed it, she corrected. He looked toward the window where dawn light slowly began creeping in. Instinctively, he stepped back. But this time, when the sunlight touched his arm, it didn't burn. It warmed. Mason froze. Clara stared in shock. The curse wasn't gone. His shadows still lingered faintly around him, but they no longer recoiled from light. Balance had rewritten the rule. He stepped fully into the rising sun. No smoke, no pain, just golden light, reflecting in silver eyes. Clara's breath caught. You can stand in it. He looked at her, wonder written across his face. So can you, he said softly. She frowned. What? He reached out carefully. This time, the room wasn't dark. Sunlight poured through shattered glass. Golden beams illuminated the dust in the air. And Mason touched her hand. In the light, no burning, no destruction, just warmth. Real, alive. Clara's eyes filled with tears. You can touch me, she whispered. In any light, he replied. Outside, the sky was whole again, the veil restored. Not because one had destroyed the other, but because they had chosen to stand together. Dorian watched from a distant rooftop, a faint smile on his face. The prophecy fulfilled, he murmured, but not as written. Back in the ruined room, Clara intertwined her fingers with Mason's. You said I was your greatest weakness, she reminded him. He smiled. No, he corrected gently. You're my balance. And for the first time in centuries, light didn't fear the dark, and shadow didn't hide from the sun. They simply existed, together,